for another episode of Art Without Amazon. I want to just tell you some things that I've learned. It's not what you have, but what you do with what you have. I've watched YouTube videos of people showing their art studios, and I see drawer after drawer and shelf after shelf of beautiful sets of watercolors and pastels and things that haven't been opened. And I've learned something, and that is it's not what you have that you haven't used, but it's what you've used up. And for example, I have this collection I've saved right since I started painting. I've saved every tube that I've used up. There are all sorts of descriptions. Some were given to me, like this Bob Ross stuff was given to me, and some I bought. This is how I started. I didn't know whether I could do this or would enjoy it at all, so I went to the dollar store, bargain store, and bought a $9 set of paint by number that came with tubes and some really lousy brushes and a couple of one or two cheap canvases. So I had a set of these paints to try out. And you know, I don't think we should despise what is junky. It gives us mileage, experience. I learned a lot. And you know, I did an amazing number of paintings with these little tubes. I didn't learn how to use my paint freely. I was very careful because these tubes are so small, and it made me want to just use a little at a time. That's a problem. But you see, this constitutes a lot of paintings. My husband said that I shouldn't even think gallery until I've done 300 paintings. So I have done a lot of paintings. I think I'm at about 270 or something like that. So it's what, and this didn't take Amazon. It didn't take anything but scrounging, looking around, and using what I had. I'm going to keep on saving those. I don't know why. If I run out of room in the studio here, or my husband gets tired of moving them around if we move, then I will probably get rid of them. And another thing I do is I ask God for more ideas. This was one of my ideas, and I showed it in another video. I've used this so many ways for practicing my pen and ink, my lettering, doing value scales with my. I came across, my son showed me a poem by Michael Leunig, and I read a lot of his. So I wrote one in here. I used it for practicing with junk paper, something that I wanted to do for a project. Sometimes I just sat down and I couldn't think of a thing to do. And sometimes things just happened, comments, thoughts, and here was an interesting thing. I ran out of ideas, so I got a strip of paper and I curled it, and I tried drawing it with pen, which means no erasing. Different things to do with scraps of paper. And I finally, the other day, came to the very last page. This is a poem written by my nephew, Tim Beer. I wrote it in here because I want to be able to keep it. And this is a paper towel. I've saved it because I have used this for years for my pen and ink. And you know, I could go on using it for another, probably another year. There's still ways to use this. Now, I'm not that tight. It's not because I'm tight with paper towel. Well, maybe I am a bit, but I just wanted to see how long could I use this thing. I think I'll graduate to a new paper towel, but I wanted to put it in here because the accumulative effect of all these hours of just goofing off in my book, and the different ways. Sometimes when I want to do a painting, I get an idea. This one, this was an idea for my of something I wanted to do on my blog. But anyway, there are still spaces I could fill up. But anyway, this cost me, I don't remember, 25 cents or 50 cents or something. And I have just had lots of fun in that book. It's not what wonderful amounts of pencil you have, but see the shavings in there? That's a testimony to the fact that I actually use my pencils. Here's another example. I went to the thrift store and I found this thing. I didn't even know it existed. It's an ink stick. You put your water in, some water in here, and you grind, and it makes a really beautiful black, which you then use a paintbrush. Now this I paid $2 for, and it gave me a whole lot of, that's an idea, that's an example of God giving me a resource and that I didn't even know existed. Later, my son went to, one of my sons went to Japan and brought me back the real article, minus a real brush. I'm still going to look for a real Chinese brush. This one's probably not the best. It really is beautiful to work with, but I have my eye on a quill. But now when resources are so hard to find, we have to be creative in what we use. I did say I'd talk about this again. I did this successfully, taking a book and using an old painting that was a failure as end papers, and getting staples to put it together for me. It makes a sketchbook that's already done. And I have started collecting more papers of just work that I'm doing, and I collect them and will eventually put them together into something like this. So just because we don't have access to online, or we don't want to get into that pattern, it doesn't stymie us. We just have to be creative in our minds. And I actually have seen God provide me with exactly the next step in what I do. So we can do art without Amazon or even online.